Hi, everyone. Go live required. You remember ISIS, and I am doing all these lives at the same time. So, second live of the year. So, let's say it this way. I read all his books, and Molt, one of my cats, decided to walk on the top of my library this Monday and threw it, and I cannot find it. But he knows, and I have all his books. But one of the things that I love about the first book, the Code Trust, is Robin. Your daughter gave you a Darth Vader watch, and you use it. And not only you use it when you were working on the FBI and proud, open conversations. That is nuts. I love it. I know you have so many stories on that book, but do you have, okay, I think that I don't need to tell you how many Darth Vaders I have. That is my nickname.
It's funny about that, Susan. I hadn't thought about that, because, so writing it's a time capsule. Ryan Holiday is one of my favorite authors on Stoicism, and I've read all his books multiple times. And many authors say this, authors and writers, you're a time traveler when you read, because you're going back in time and you are being a student of some of the great masters of the universe, really, with their thoughts and ideas. And one of the things he said about that was a time capsule. And so what made me think about that is I hadn't thought about that Darth Vader watch since you just mentioned it. And the first images that pop in my mind, because this is part of our life arcs of our experiences, is I know exactly where it is. It's in my jewelry box upstairs because it stopped working years ago, but I held on to it because it had a lot of meaning. And that daughter, who is my little girl, who's still my little girl, turns 28 this week or next week, and is getting married in a month or two. So, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but it's like, oh my God, you are my people. I'm trying to go live and Instagram, but probably I went live last week. I'm probably going to mess it up this week. So my apologies. So I've been reading all your books, and I was telling you before we go on live, and says, I hope you don't get offended. It says, Susan, nothing offend me. I recommend your books for managers. And the Trust Code is one of the books that says, if you don't read this book, I don't think we gonna do the training. Because actually, one of the things that I love that you says on that book is that you learn, okay, and I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Okay, let's do. Sure, so one of the things that you says is, and I took note, not because I'm cheating, is because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Leadership is all about them. Yes. And one of the things is in the first chapter about manipulation talk, you talk about it's all about them. And this is the third book, who actually is the first book. So actually all about them is the fourth one. I'm confused. So people used to.
Yeah. So everything in life's a journey. And the first book I wrote, I self-published. It's not all about me. And that's I moved it upstairs. That was a self-published one. It out of all
that is coming in March 17.
Yep.
People pay attention, pre-order.
The Repub one is right here because my beautiful author, publisher I use, Ben Bella, that published my last one, Unbreakable Alliances, with me, asked if I would republish it with them, because out of my 4 books, that the self-published one's my bestseller. I mean, I have sold probably 120,000 copies of that one. So it did decently all on its own. So we're republishing that one. I freshened it up because I wrote that one back in 2010 into 11. And you can imagine the growth that someone has every day, every week, month, and year, and decade. And so I've learned a lot since then, but it's an arc, so all those things that I did back then, because I wrote it when I was at the FBI Training Academy for counterintelligence. I was an instructor there, having spent years in the field. I ran my behavioral team as a team member on it. And so I wrote that book back then when I was an instructor. And so a lot of stories and anecdotes are from my time as an instructor, traveling around the country, teaching tools and techniques for rapport, elicitation, and all that. But after that, I was like, wow, from rapport, what do you get? You get trust. And so what my team did, my behavioral team, was when I took that optic outward looking down, I realized all my team was doing with all the hooky spooky spy stuff, as I call it, recruiting spies or confidential forces, or anyone, or elicitation, or in leadership and management, is you are strategizing trust with people all the time. And so when I was looking at what my behavioral team was doing on every operation. We're strategizing trust with strangers and also strategizing trust with management, our management, because in order to do what I call the righteous work of protecting the United States and our allies around the world, you actually couldn't do that unless you had approval from your bosses. And bosses aren't going to say yes unless they trust you and you allow them to have no fear in saying yes. And so that book
You know,
became.
Robin, sorry to interrupt. One of the things that I always tell people when they're going to do a training with a person that is out of the box, like me, you, anybody on this field, like what the heck is somebody who coming from this field is going to teach somebody else? I don't need to you believe me. I need you to trust me. Mm-hmm. Is the only thing I says. And I have so many quotes. Then rereading the book this week, and it says, oh my God, I should pay your royalties.
Oh, don't worry, because any quote I have in there is most likely grabbed from someone else. I mean, there's very few original thoughts in the world. You can go all the way back to Epictetus, the ancient Stoics that started it a couple thousand years ago. So, they get repackaged and they get retold in new stories and formats and context for modern times. And sometimes, people will put some pithy things together and come up with new terms and ideas. But it's usually some sort of a good rehash from some of the masters from ages ago, just retold for us to understand today.
If it's not broken, don't fix it. I still use Oscar Wilde, Machiavelli, The Art of War, and Groucho Marx. And people are like, what? You need to be acid to be in this field. If you don't know how to use humor and be acid, it's not going to work.
Absolutely. And the good thing about that too is that fits with personality. So a lot of these things take on the personality, and you're going to gravitate towards things which are natural and organic to you. Because as people always say, you just have to be sincere, you got to be organic, and you got to be present. Well, what are all those things? All those things are you having enough self-security in yourself and a lack of insecurity so you can be present. You can be who you are without fear of being judged for who you are. I mean, we all have that fear, but at the same time, transparency and openness and vulnerability are some of the core root behaviors that you need to have if you're going to inspire someone to trust you, because people just need to feel safe. And they feel safe when they have situational awareness and they understand who they're working with and who they're dealing with. And really the core of trust is predictable behavior. So you want to be predictable, you want to be sequential, you want to just be understandable and relatable. All those things will require you to be present, free of an agenda. Even though you might have goals and objectives, that's fine. But when you're present with someone, you're just going to listen to their words and be actively curious about the things they're sharing, not necessarily what it is you want to learn. And it'll flow. I know I said a lot in there.
Okay. Now, I have another thing. Did your wife, your actual wife, your ex-girlfriend, let's put it this way, your ex-girlfriend, because it's your wife, she knew what you do for a living when you met? Because if I'm not reading wrong, you went from a romantic dinner to 3 months later getting married, and you've been with her for 30 years?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're coming up on 34 years this year. 30,
what the heck? You need to start doing couples therapy with
Yeah, so that was, we grew up together. We grew up in the same towns, same everything. In fact, we just had this conversation because my son is dating someone, his girlfriend. It's fingers crossed, most likely the one. They grew up together too. Matter of fact, I was her brother's baseball coach. My son and her brother are friends, and so when you already have history, there's a lot of things that are already known. So my wife and I had history. We weren't friends necessarily, but we had the same group of friends. And so she did not like me in high school. She thought I was too extroverted.
The best romantic stories happen when, I hate you, now I love you, because happen on the same part of the brain. The problem is when I love you and I hate you later. But if you start hating and after loving, the passion of the hate transfer to the love. You know that?
Yeah. And also the root of hate is a lot of times it comes from resentment. And that is a toxic behavior and mindset that I avoid at all costs. Matter of fact, it's part of what I call crazy brain. And I just don't do unhealthy behaviors. I don't do unhealthy thoughts, because if something it becomes what some people call a wobble, or what I call a tremor in the force, where I can tell that there's something unhealthy about this relationship, I tend to slow way down, back off, get objective, and assess the cause and effect of behaviors and our interaction, whether this is a path I want to walk or not, because I don't do crazy people, because crazy people just bring their own form of chaos.
What are you doing here?
You're not crazy.
Okay, I like definitions. One of the things that I love about your books, and again, I says that to another profiler this morning, then I really respect Mark Bowden.
Yeah.
We exchanged text for the first time, and like, I almost pee myself. Mark, if you're watching, I'll almost pee myself when I saw your message. So it says, I will not offend your intellect telling you all these juicy things, but if I make the effort to contact you, it's because I respect you. So the same I'm going to do with you. But one of the things that I love about your books, and I read it before I become known or everything, you were one of my readings, is how this guy simplifies so much things that look so complex or complicated, explain for somebody else. And I'm going to make a list of things, and I take notes that I still have in your book in yellow and mark. And I want to tell me what is the meaning. And I already took the 4 rules to suspending your ego and the rules that I have 5 or 6 things. Then you simplify so well. Then I want to, if you can explain where they're coming from. Sure. And how you simplify it, like, because you make it feel like, oh, everybody can do it. No, absolutely. You need a little apply. You need a little more work, but you make it look so simple. So thank you for that. May then talk about, I'm sorry?
Thanks for the compliment. It came because everything I've ever written about and I share are things I really sucked at my entire life. I mean, that's generally what we do in life. We typically intuitively know our strengths after a period of time of interacting with the world around us, because we can tell what was able, if we're even in minuscule self-reflective in any way, and we own our behaviors rather than see ourselves as victims. If we own our own behavior and we don't see ourselves as victims and we self-assess, we're going to realize what we're decent at and what some of our blind spots are. And if we have loving critics in our lives, we become more aware of our blind spots. And so when someone in your life lays down the gauntlet, identifying a major blind spot, if we are on a path of mastery, and a path of mastery is simply, we just are the humble student at all times, and you fall in love with the process every day, you start working on those challenges that you face because they're a great weakness, they're a blind spot for you. And so after a time, those blind spots and weaknesses become your greatest strengths if you follow the road of mastery. And mastery, not like you're a master, it's not a destination, it's a journey. Mastery is 100% a journey. It's falling in love every day with what it is you do to get better at that thing that you might not have been so great at early on in life.
But a lot of people put the ego first. Oh, because I was X and Y and I have a title, and like no, learn every day. When people says, what the heck are you doing another Master of 54? Like, because when I'm the pine box, maybe I'm going to stop doing it. All this book, people think I'm cockiness. No, this is part. My library continue here, and I have another one in another office. Why? Because when I learn how to learn, I cannot stop learning.
Yep.
You know, because we talk in your show, I'm highly dyslexic. So when I found out that actually there are techniques when you identify, I'm visual, kinetic, and auditory. So I read at the same time that I have the physical book. I don't like the Kindle. I need the physical book. This is for notes. Yep. So I take notes when I'm listening to something, when I'm listening to a book, I read the book. And after that, I listen to the audiobook. So I use my 3 channels. And when I did that, the world opened to me in a way like, what the heck? But the day you think, oh, I know it all, I read people, then I disagree. And I always say to people, don't trust me, don't believe me. Let's start with this. Tell me I'm full of BS. And then start your own path of journey and looking at me. If you don't trust me, look at the people you trust and redo your ideas, but never, ever stop being a student, because the day you stop learning and be the mentality of a student, you're never going to learn something new. And when you stop learning, you're dead. That is the concept of debt. To me, is not, they says paying taxes in debt. The third one is stop learning. That is the concept of emotional debt.
No doubt. You want to know, I haven't really shared this before because no one really asked, but we're on the topic. One of my greatest fears and challenges I have is not having a good book to read. I'm like,
send me the list because I'm running out.
I do too. I'm on retreading a lot. I typically read probably, or I'm like you. I'm a kinetic learner. I'm not like you because I'm not dyslexic, but I have to move in order to retain information.
Oh,
So I
I'm
listen
gonna
to
give you
Audible.
one that I just found. You keep talking. I want to
Okay,
tell you one that
so I
I
have to
found.
move when I do it. And so I'm like you. What I do is I listen to Audible while I'm walking, and I take notes on Apple Notes. And so every book I've ever read, I have tons of notes on because I then dictate what the note is while I'm reading or listening. And it's like the master themselves is talking to me, and and I read a lot of different things, lots of non-fiction. It's all nonfiction, and obviously on human behavior from all the great masters that I could. I read a lot of Eastern philosophy, a lot of Stoicism, as well as Buddhism, the Tao Te Ching. Matter of fact, my copy of the Tao Te Ching sits next to me right here. And then biographies. I love historical biographies because it understands the people, the challenges they went
The
through.
strategies. I agree with you. Once I fall in love with a character, well, I'm gonna watch a documentary. Sometimes is one of this. For example, Coco Chanel. I'm
Yes.
fascinated. Most people doesn't know about her relationship with the Germans and the Nazis, and she lived in a hotel. All the person she wasn't famous until the 40s. So
Yep.
how Yves Saint Laurent becomes is why you like fashion? Like, yeah, I have a nick for fashion, but I have a nick more that how you stand for the crowd. Because Coco Chanel wasn't different than other designers. Yves Saint Laurent neither. Is what make them unique and special. That's where I like. And you know what? I love the stories of the ones who lost, and I love the stories of one who win.
Yeah. Coco Chanel is funny. I found out more about her because of Robert Greene's book, 48 Laws of Power and Laws of Human Nature. He wrote a lot about Coco Chanel in there. And just her not being able to fit in and deciding to do her own thing was how she created her look and her brand. And then even reinventing herself after World War II was pretty remarkable. So yeah, I'm with you. But that's what history gives you. You know, you can take that objective look and just do the deep dive to understand, because one of the things I love about reading so much also, especially when we're in the world that we're in of behavior, no one has ever been perfect at anything. Everyone's working on something. So there's
the hero story. That's the reason people love the hero story.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things that are always extremely predictable about human behavior. I say all the time is you can predict what everyone's going to do all the time. You can be a mind reader. It's very simple. Everyone is going to always act in their own best interest in terms of their safety, security, and prosperity from their own point of view. All you have to do is understand what their point of view is, of what that looks like, and you now know what they're going to do. And how do you get that? Well, you got to let go of your sense of self. I'm guaranteed you don't let go of it like I'm nothing, but no, you got to let go and be them.
You talk about ego and let it go ego, and it's about them all the time. It's not a paragraph without you reinforcing in all your books in let go your ego. It's about them. They're not going to trust you if you don't trust them. In fact, that's the reason it says your book should be read and obligatory in leadership and management, because they talk about like not suspend your ego, put it in a box, because most people says, oh, suspend your ego. Like, no, suspend it because it's still here hunting you when you get it suspended. But when you says put it in a box, forget about it, let's start over, that allow you like, oh, what the heck, this is another approach.
Yeah, you know how I learned that was one of the greatest recruiters of spies I ever knew in my entire life. I'm still friends with him today. My book, his name is Jesse Thorne.
He was your mentor when you was in your early 20s, no?
Yeah.
You talk about him all the time.
Later 20s. I didn't come into Bureau until I was 28, 29. But he was with me in New York. And matter of fact, he lives 10 miles from me now. I still see him and his family.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
And I learned, I was practicing it, trying to get better at it. But what was most profound about him.
I'm sorry, he's the one who says, I hope you learn something. It's not about the first date, it's about the second one.
Yeah. So in the Bureau and in much things in life, you know, the only goal of every first encounter is to have a second one, and only the second one is to have a third one. So you've got to keep it present, got to keep it focused on that one goal. And in order to do that, you have to make it about them. And he just didn't use those as words. And so he modeled that behavior. And what he mean by that is few people understood the impact he was having. During the course of his 21 years with the FBI, he recruited, or as he'll say, he allows me to say about him that he was a single point of focus and success. There's always a team behind everyone and everything with what we do. We never are solo. But he was a single point of success for recruiting 14 Russian intelligence officers in the course of his career. And that's
14.
like 14. It's like hitting
what the
lotto.
heck?
14 times in your life. It was the most profound impact on national security I've ever met in my entire life. And you know what he had on his desk at work? Nothing. He had a pen holder like this one with pens and pencils. There wasn't a plaque. There wasn't even a nameplate. At his home, I've told this story so many times, I know, but at his home, there was no, you had no idea who's in the FBI. There was never a look at me moment. There was never telling war stories, because people do these things for their own sense of ego, their own sense of validation, and trying to be accepted by the tribe around them and trying to impress people. And he never, ever did that. And he won the CIA Director's Award once and the FBI Director's Award twice in his career. That is like, I've never even known anyone other than him that's ever done that. And you know where it was in his house? It was in a shoebox in the basement in a corner with dust on it. My kids were playing hockey with it with his kids on the floor because it slid on the cement floor. And so what that showed me, and one thing I've always tried to do in my life is we modeled the behavior of people and and successful actions, not title and position. And he was an agent just like me. He wasn't a director. He wasn't a supervisor. He was an agent doing righteous work, as I say. And his ego was tucked away in a box. And he did it naturally. It wasn't a conscious thing. And I was like, if I want to have success in this job, in life, and make an impact on the world, I got to model that behavior. And we mentioned it a few times. I think the really key critical thing that people miss in leadership and in management, because this was my fault. My major flaw coming in that most of us have that I was working on in my 20s was I was very, very, very good at problem solving. I grew up without money. We heated our house all by wood. I chopped wood. I cut grass to make money. I mean, all these, I was very, very good at solving problems, my problems. And I did that by creating relationships and dialogues with people. And I was very gregarious and outgoing. But the focus was always on me and my problems. Leadership, though, is about solving the problems of others. And so when you're recruiting spies and competent human sources, you have in the back of your mind what your goals, objectives, and the problems you are. But in order to have a relationship and lead a team towards a destination, you have to become really, really adept at solving the problems of others. In order to do that, you have to put yours in the box and focus on them. And so in order to solve the problems of others, you have to know what their priorities are. You have to know what safety looks like to them. So those are some of the things I learned early on in my career. And that's what my journey's been, is trying to figure all that out every single day and still reflecting on it every single day.
I don't know if I put you on a spot, so you said you're going to answer this, because I always says I don't want to get in other people's turfs. Just I don't like when people use myth to mislead people, because now you need to break the nose, put it back together, and that's where we have problems with communication. But my point is, some people says that you need to have your shit together and to help others, and another people says when you're in the middle of the storm, you're better seen when the weather is bad. So what do you think? Because I good in what I do for all the things that I went through my life. Mm-hmm. Every time that I bleed my nose because I get to the ground, I know better the distance between failing and success, so I can help other people. And because I see them coming, I think that one of the reasons I become better with years is because I failed so many times. Then mm-hmm. I'm happy because I fail and I success. And I can tell other people, hey, don't take my advice. Just let me tell you what I did, or what are the tools that I did to fix the problem. But if you don't fail, if failing is when you don't fix the problem and you don't even learn anything. So do you have any concept regarding, and I see your content smile, so.
I don't use the word fail, because there is no fail in life to me. I call things a repetition. And there are no bad repetitions. There's no bad reps in life. So here's another truism of human behavior is we don't remember average days. We only remember really challenging ones or really, really awesome ones.
You see, Robin, you do that with my brain. You're so right. I don't remember average.
No, we don't. I mean, so Susan, if I asked you, so Susan, what'd you have for breakfast last Thursday? You know, unless you have the same routine every day, you're not going to remember. But if something happened on that day, something in the news, something in your life, or something with one of your cats, you're going to remember everything around that event because it was a challenge, it had meaning. So in my life and in my family and people that touch my life, when something goes sideways, My first thing is I started grinning. I'm like, this is going to be a great rep. We're going to remember this, and we're going to grab something and learn something from this. We're making our own story that's going to be transferable then to someone else. I get excited when things go sideways because I'm like, this is going to be a great learning moment on my path. And so going to the other part of your question or statement was, I love to be there for others that are on a point on their path that there's an intersection that I can be a resource for them on that path. At the same time, I don't inflict myself on someone else's path unless there's an invitation. And I'm always available on someone else's path, and also realizing there's people way ahead of me on their own path that I'm going to learn from. So I just see myself, I'm a blip in a great spectrum in front and behind, and I just serve all I can those around. And when you are just happy to be here, and the other word you said, so I pick up on all these words you say, you said happiness. So happiness doesn't come from the pursuit of things. Happiness comes from the great healthy relationships we have. And so I love the ancient Stoic philosophy too. It's easy to be wealthy, want less. And so if you are just, the hardest thing we have as a species is to be satisfied and use the word enough. So here's an interesting thing. So another great book I'm finishing up right now. It's called Kindred. It's actually the story of the Neanderthals. And there's a lot of theories out why the Neanderthals died off as a species. But here's one interesting thing they haven't found in a fossil
And if
record.
they die or they evolve, they're
Yes.
still arguing.
Right. So the interesting thing about Neanderthals is in the fossil record, there's no evidence that they ever battled against each other for resources and food.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So they had enough. But the interesting thing is when you have enough, you're not necessarily forced to innovate to get more. And so because as Homo sapiens, we're always craving more, we're caught up in the cult of comparison and the disease of more. We're constantly battling. And when we create that kind of brain noise, as I call it, it doesn't allow us to see what is around us because we're so focused on our own confirmation bias of trying to get more and competing. I'm not saying those are bad things. I'm just saying there's cause and effect. When you're so focused in here on more and not enough, you're not seeing everything and being present.
This says ignorance in a bliss, and I don't gonna call it ignorance, but when you don't know what you don't know, you don't need what you don't know. When people says, well, I have a step grandkid. Okay, I always say this story for dating someone, so at least I'm gonna have a grandkid. And I remember saying, well, he never gonna know what is sugar if you never give sugar. You crave sugar, so you give sugar. Thank God that both are extremely healthy, so they have a really bad. But I remember when the baby was born, and everybody went, "Oh, you need to put sugar and honey." Like, wait a minute, the baby doesn't know about it. Right. Give the ignorance of bliss that he have to eat healthy. The kids are unhealthy because you break their ignorance, but being ignorant about what is the taste of a burger or a Coke or things like that is a bliss for them. So it is a bliss or it's a curse. So now we're going to go philosophical. Why you take me there?
Well, and then the greatest human challenge is that we all have the power of choice. And so those that are aware and don't have ignorance and they're in bliss, but actually are no longer ignorant, they have awareness of all these things. Do you have the ability to overcome those impulses and overcome our addictions to those unhealthy things? And how do we do that? With healthy relationships, identifying those healthy relationships and keeping that brain noise low so you can actually see and be present to see and observe things. Like things stand out. People always ask, one of the common questions for behaviorists, I'm sure you get it nonstop, is how do I baseline someone? How do I baseline the world around me? I just want to baseline things.
Well, how I know if they're lying? Why you want to know they're lying? What are you going to do with that is more important.
Well, the funny thing is, I love Jack Schaefer's book on the truth detector. And he said such a great thing in there. It
must be in some point.
I know. So Jack is such a good friend. He was one of my mentors in the Bureau as well. And the great thing about that is it's so much easier to inspire someone not to want to lie to you than trying to detect if they're deceiving you.
Thank you very much.
And so how do you inspire someone not to lie to you? Have them trust you. And I think why people, there are three kind of lies. The lie that people says for shame and many, many ways. We have social lies. If I tell my friends everything that I see about them and I think about them, I would be alone. And I like my friends, so I'm going to keep them.
Second of all, is Elijah says, because you're kind of psychopath or psychopathic phases. Everybody's psychopath, everybody's narcissist. It's how long you stay in that phase. So if you think you're normal, like, fuck off. Go back to change the psychologist. And the third one is what you do to people that they have the need to lie to you. Mm-hmm. So when people says, well, I want to check, I want to know if my partner is cheating on me. You just know if it's not what you're going to ask it. My point is, you want to learn why, how, and what you want to do with that, because you already know that your partner is cheating, men or women. So you already know. So I want to know if people is lying to me and what you going to do with that. Well, like, why people is obsessed to know a lie detector and what the heck you going to do? Because as soon as you do that, without the proper training, you're going to say, oh, you're lying to me. And the conversation is done. The most important part already happened. What you do with that is open, like, okay, keep asking questions. At the end, says, I think there is some part of what you told me is maybe, it's not that it's not true. Maybe it's misconstrued. You want to go back to them and tell me why you feel that you need to have to say that, or why you feel uncomfortable. Is anything that I can help you with? You don't have any idea how many conversations and friendship I open. Instead, in the beginning, it says, oh, but you're lying to me. Done. There's no more conversation happen there.
Why would people do that? You know, it's interesting. So a lot of reasons why people are trying to detect deception is because they think that there's a lot of lack of transparency in relationships. Seriously, the only reason we are diving deep to try to see the truth is because we're suspicious we're not getting it. And the reason we're suspicious we're not getting it is because of the lack of transparency that gives us situational awareness, allows us to feel safe.
I'm sorry, by psychology and behavioral, you only see in others what you lack. So if you see everybody's lying, start looking in your own nose, Pinocchio.
Oh, yeah. If you have an emotional reaction with someone, the likelihood of them having that about you is almost 100%. And so basically, it's either you're paranoid, so you got an issue, or the other person's got a lack of transparency, or probably most likely a little bit of both. And so what you're saying is that this is a really unhealthy relationship, but for some reason, I'm struggling to keep it going because I like unhealthy. It just always puzzles me. Because again, I don't mind anything, because if especially, so let's take it do a thought experiment, as Einstein says. So say you're working with someone and you have to work with them. You can't make a choice, or a family member, you can't make a choice to distance yourself from them in your life. But now, if you know there's a lack of transparency in a certain area, well, now you're entering a situation with a lot of awareness about how to engage them, and where's the healthiest part to engage them. Because here's another thing I talked about a lot in my books was, just because you might not be able to trust someone in this lane doesn't mean you can't over here or can't over here. It just means this lane, for some reason, there's roadblocks, there's a lack of transparency. There's something here that allows them, that's making them feel very, very insecure with you, or maybe everyone else also in this one lane. So now just make a choice to either don't engage in this lane, maybe move over here or move over here, or at least allow them to feel more secure about themselves.
But that's what we do for friends, with friends. Robin, how many of your friends think politically, medically different than you are? I don't put my friends in a box and I stop talking with them. I just choose the topic that I want to talk. I have friends that says, you know what? I love you to death. And for that reason, I'm going to stop the conversation here. You're going to keep pushing for an answer. And when I don't give it, you're going to get pissed off. And if I give it, we got pissed off. So we need to pick up the fight. We treasure the friendship that we have on the planes, and we're not going to, let's agree to disagree. Let's avoid the topic. Well, you have avoidance. Like, no, I'm preserving what is important to me. That is our friendship. If we agree to disagree, that the friendship is more important than that topic is the only we don't agree, can we please move forward? And says, you always manipulate me. Like, no, I treasure what I love about you. That is not, by the way, it's not the first time that you change opinion or I change opinion. So we're going to break a friendship for an opinion that is today maybe marginalized for so many things people did with dating, work. Maybe it's going to be different in a week. And we're going to break something is more important than that opinion today is the relationship we have. The older we get, we tend to have less relationships. And that's what people, I think, they don't understand.
True, 100%. And when it comes to politics and things like that, I'm completely with you in the sense that I don't end relationships off of anything like that. I don't even end relationships. I'll just back off if someone's going
Give it
through.
a space.
Yeah, and also when it comes to politics or anything, I don't care. And here's what I mean by I don't care. So here's where I call it deep active empathy. And this is where I never ever, to the best of my ability, disregard the fact that everyone puts a lot of thought into what their beliefs are and what they view the world as. And in everyone's own mind, remember, everyone's always going to act in their own best interest. And so let's superimpose that on someone that has a very different opinion of someone politically than you. Do you know then that thought process they put a lot of thought into that. And the root of that thought they have, their political affiliation and thoughts make them feel safe from their context. So instead of trying to argue with them that they're wrong about how they're feeling safe, you'll never get anywhere. Instead of arguing them why my person or my political beliefs allows me to feel safe, they don't care. Explore what it is that allows them to feel safe. Now it's called active curiosity. Active curiosity is not about being curious about what it is you want to know. Be curious about what it is they want to share and willing to share. And so this is where I don't disregard anyone's point of view or anything anywhere. It doesn't say I'm agreeing with you. It's saying this is deep validation. Validation is being curious about the other person's perspective and context, and that's empathy about where they're coming from in the world. It doesn't mean I'm agreeing with it. It doesn't mean they're going to sway me. Although I'll tell you, the more you learn about what makes other people feel safe, even if it started off completely opposite of mine, it pulls you back center is what it does. And it doesn't necessarily change you, but it opens your mind to, wow, there's a lot of people in the world, billions, that have a lot of different opinions about different things, all of which about making them feel safe. Fear is the greatest motivator of all human beings. And for some reason, what their beliefs are doesn't fear them. Yours do. So reverse it. Anyway.
The three ways people can manipulate you is happiness, fear, and anger.
Yeah.
Because it's give me any emotion, give me any political situation, give me any product on the market. If you establish fear, happiness, or anger, I can do whatever I want with you. It says, well, I have a master in manipulation, obedience, and false implanted memory. Let me tell you, it was really difficult to make the master. I couldn't read it. But I start my master, my thesis that says, I'm going to talk in this thesis about fear, anger, and happiness. And my thesis is, how the heck are you going to pull this? Wait for it. I pull it. Cult, propaganda, whatever you put it in those two, there are fear, anger, and happiness. Why? Because on all of those when you're in love, you have been in love for 34 years. So for you, it's every day. For me, I've been alone for a long time. But it's like when you're happy and you're in love, like, oh my God, flowers, you see everything pink. You eat more, you gain weight, everything. When you're angry, the funnels go the opposite way. It's getting smaller. And when you feel fear, you feel fighting. So you're going to go to anger. So you need to be careful. When people feel fear, when you make them feel safe, you're helping them. And be aware of that too.
And the most important thing, I think, with fear or anger, resentment, all the negative emotions, it creates a lot of brain noise and fog, because then you can't see clarity. And so that's why I refuse to do those emotions. I don't allow people to bother me, because if people start bothering me and they create those, they don't create, I create those emotions based on the things they're saying. And this is where ego comes in, because they're assaulting people. We feel these things towards people because they're assaulting our egos and our own identity. And so when we're doing that, our focus gets like this, our confirmation biases kick in, and you stop seeing and hearing everything someone's saying. I mean, just look at how people, so the whole news cycle, all these, what I don't care what side you're listening to, it is giving you information and ideas, both left and right, that's validating your own self-opinion of the things you believe. And then when you throw some fear in there, it keeps you locked in. And then that's how they sell ad space, because the whole business model for media is to sell ad space so people can make money. And how they're going to make money? They're going to make money based off of your confirmation bias and your fear to keep you locked in, both sides. So it's very, very challenging then to let go of all that fear so you can be present, to take in all the data and look at what is this, so you can actually make the behavioral assessments, human assessments of what's actually going on, so we can just do what the most important thing in the world that leaders do. We work and solve problems. That's it. And I hate going down the road with people of the, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Start pointing fingers. So no, I don't care. Just let's work the problem. What's the challenge and what do we need to do it? And most importantly, who do we need to partner with to solve it?
You make a comment of, it's a story that people says many ways. The cape theory. Look at, I want to take Robin for a couple more minutes. I cannot believe we were talking for 40 minutes. Not all my notes are going. Every time that Robin and I, we talk, is like, okay, we're going to leave something for the show. Like, no, we talk everything. You talk about that, the woman who had the nail on the head, and she complained about the headache, all the sweaters are torn. And the guy says, well, you have a nail on the head. And she says, stop fixing the problem. Listen to me.
All right.
And is the fear, I think the fear is an action reaction. I'm training 4 sales reps. So I put an ad for 2 sales reps. I ended up hiring 4. I swear I don't manipulate them. They agree to work with me. So now I have 4. And it says, guys, it's a content and context action reaction. So you need to understand that because you have the solution doesn't mean the person is ready to hear the answer. So you need to go with them and listen, because it's never about the trash. I did a long series about, and it's been the most successful series about videos that I have done. It's never about the trash. When your wife says, you don't take the trash, you're an asshole, lazy, let them vent. And after that says, is really about the trash or something else bothering you? I think that is the fear, action, reaction, is the fear to ask what is deeper. But fear, anger, and happiness are the symptom of something else.
Yeah.
It's not, you need to go and fix her. And we tend to go left brain. A lot of people in here is left brain. Oh yeah, I see the problem so easy. I'm gonna tell you, like, no, sometimes you need to people go, and by the end of the argument or the exposition of the problem, it's like, oh, I get it. I didn't turn off the gas. Like, you didn't say it. You just conduct the person to hear their own thoughts. So it's not being fixing things all the time. It's let people and allow them to correct what it is. But I just remember the story you says about the nail on the head. You're going to tell how it finished so I don't ruin the anecdote?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's actually a YouTube video. I think it's just called The Nail. And so this young woman's got a nail sticking out of her head, and she's talking about these headaches that she has and how her sweaters keep getting snagged, and she's so frustrated and anger, and she's got these constant headaches, and the boyfriend keeps trying to tell her, well, you got a nail in your head. And she keeps saying, well, you're not listening to me. And finally he says, that sounds really difficult. And she goes, yes, you finally get it. And because this is a great point, because when you're recruiting a spy or a source or in leadership and management, or work with my kids all the time, you need to be what the other person needs you to be in the moment. You have to re-recruit everyone every single moment. Sometimes they need a problem solver. Sometimes they need someone to vent to. And so reading and watching what their needs are in the moment and being that for them, that's where that trust is built. That's where those relationships are built. And that's why being diligent all the time, never taking a human being for granted, never saying just because you're this way yesterday you're going to be this way today. Every day, every moment's completely different. And just constantly being vigilant on watching, observing, what do you need in this moment and what do I need to be that for you, is the way to keep moving forward.
I have a couple of notes, and I'm going to go, and I want to close. And we need to do this again. We definitely. The foreword of this book is by Joe Navarro too, or who you picked to the foreword?
Of the rebrand of It's Not All About Me?
Yeah.
I didn't do a forward for this one, believe it or not.
Why?
I didn't think to.
I'm legit. Sorry. You just realized you forgot to do that.
I'm looking at it. It's like, no, I didn't forget to. So actually, I'll give you a pragmatic example, a reason. So when I wrote Code of Trust, which was the second book, the first one was It's Not All About Me, self-published. a lot of times a publishing house or an agent will tell you to go get a forward from someone with a notoriety and a brand. So that if you don't have a bigger one, they'll tell you
have a
need
bigger
to get
name
one.
than anybody else now, so who's gonna
Well,
write it?
and so like my publisher never asked me to get a forward. And so
that is a confirmation.
yeah, see, and so, or I don't know about that, but with both Sizing People Up and Code of Trust, the publisher wanted me to get a forward from someone, and the big one now is just getting blurbs from people, testimonials from different friends. So I try to randomize them and kind of divvying them up a little bit so I don't keep going to the same well for the same people. But this one, I actually went with a few of my newer friends, Shawnee Delaney, DIA case officer. I absolutely love Shawnee to death. She is one of the most successful people and women in the intelligence organizations around the world. Good dear friend of mine. I had her do one. Lena Cisco, obviously the DOD interrogator, phenomenal as well. Matthew Dunn, good friend of mine from MI6, retired guy. Brad Beeler, who we've been chatting about, US Secret Service guy. And then Elith Dennis. Elith, she's 100% civilian. She's cyber security phenom, black hat expert and DEF CON expert. She does amazing things, and her skill set with human beings is phenomenal. So I asked her to do it as well. I could have asked you, but I didn't have enough room.
No, I'm not on that level. Hi, let me introduce you to Vodka. So I did a podcast last week, and I wasn't in my office. So the woman says, "Well, you're not in your office, so the cats are not going to show up. Can we reschedule?" Like, what the heck? She says, I have all these jokes about cats. No, we need to reschedule. Like, what? So we rescheduled for tomorrow because she wanted the cats showing up on the podcast. So now they're going to have their own YouTube channel, I think so. So
good plan.
So I have a couple of things that, again, this conversation, like always, we went to the philosophical, you and I, we never ran out.
Go anywhere.
So I want people to live with some of the things that, again, it's impossible to summarize all your books. So probably near to March, that is not that far away. I would love to have you back. So I'm going to give a PowerPoint so you can finish with the 5 rules for the trust plan, because I think that it's one of the summaries that it brings to, it's not about you, to suspend the ego and you close with whatever you want. You says, make them talk about them to trust you. Choose the place to meet. I steal that. Leadership is all about them. Do you not need to impress people if you let them talk about them? How you make people feel about themselves is the ultimate influence. It's not the first date, it's the second one. How to strike a conversation to strangers. And I want to go after that with the rules and the trust plan. So you come out with all those things, are synthesized of the 2 books that are out there.
Yeah, there's a lot in that. It would take a long time to unpack everything, but I'll boil everything down to what I call my keys of communication. My keys of communication are these 4 very, very simple things to do to shift that focus from yourself to the other person and not make it all about you. And these are woven throughout my books in different ways, but these are really the keys to everything. And that is, number 1, seek the thoughts and opinions of other people rather than going on and on and on about what you think. That keeps the focus over there. Next, talk in terms of other people's challenges, their priorities, their pain points, the friction and challenges they're going through in life, instead of going on and on and on about what's going on in your life. Third, non-judgmental, active curiosity. So this is where you're just going to be very, very deeply observant of what it is someone says and follow up with that, what they're sharing, asking open-ended questions about what was the inspiration for that? Who was the person that created this situation for you? When did you decide to do that? And what was next? Those types of questions that will bring you on their life arc and journey with them. And you're being curious then about the things they're sharing. And most importantly, like I said, don't judge what they're saying. That is their journey. That's their beautiful journey. They put a lot of time and effort into. And so go on that journey with them. And finally, empower people with choices. And a way we can empower someone with choices, which is very simple, easy, is if, beautiful word, if that's something you're comfortable doing. If not, let me know what is, and we can do that too. Maybe we can add that to it. So every time I'd ask someone to be a confidential human source for the FBI, something that might make people cringe, I said, if that's just something you're comfortable with. If there's something I could do to make you more comfortable with it, let me know. And if you'd rather me never talk to you again and walk away and never bother you, let me know. I'll do that too. That's empowering people with choice. They have complete control. They have situational awareness. And I've never, ever been told, Robin, go away and never bother me again. Because all those things keeps a focus on them. You're demonstrating that you see them. You're demonstrating that you're present for them. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins are firing the brain. The big four are firing, saying this person allows me to feel safe. They see me, they value me, and you'll roll forward.
I mean, I have so many questions in so short time.
Me too.
So what is the difference between ego and accessibility? Because everybody, one of the worst things that happened to me is met some of my heroes. I know it sounds weird, but you understand me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, fluff, I wish I never met you. Because now I need to look for new. You, Jana Monroe, Amino and Sapira, people like, they're still in contact with Aminon and I. We met once a month. We talk about bullshit. Jan and I, we talk about cases. I Gina. So there's so many people that I met and like, oh my God, I'm so happy that you're in my life. You make me a better person because I have the chance to talk with you. But another point, you've met other people that the ego comes first. And it's a difference between to ego driven and be inaccessible. So because it says, oh, yeah, if you're too accessible, people think you're too easy. Like, no, it's a different. Here we're talking about suspend your ego to put it in a box, not to keep it out there. Because, okay, it's okay not to be accessible to everyone. We talked this about before the show. You cannot be there for everyone. But it's another thing to be ego. And if you can take that away from the equation, you make people who swear and never do anything against what they initially believe, but helping them to understand that actually there's not their belief. You're the less threatened person you're going to see in a room. And you're the person I will fear the most, because when that phase, nothing happened, everything has happened.
Yeah, funny. The key for everything, again, to summarize, how do we suspend our ego? You always just have to ask yourself a very simple question before you say anything, speak, text, email, or post on social media. And Tasha Eurich talks about this in her book Insight, which is about self-awareness. And it's very simple. Ask yourself, am I about to inform or me form? Am I telling you something about
Can I steal that too?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this entire, I mean, think about this entire conversation. It was all about information for others. It wasn't about anything but that. I mean, literally, because no one cares about you and your background. You know, they don't care about your title and position. Are you giving me information?
What you can do for them and how you transformation instead of information, and what you can do for them instead of for yourself.
Right. Just be an informer, not a me former. And granted, the algorithms don't make it clickbait when you do that. I know firsthand, if you're going to be this altruistic, humanistic guy that gives information to make life better and easier for people to get along, it doesn't go as viral as, being crazy, me forming, doing stupid stuff. And that's fine. But again, it's all about choice, because when you have that situational awareness to see the cause and effect of all behaviors, everything becomes a choice. And I don't see anything in any of these realms as right or wrong. It's just, here's what you're going to do. Here's the effect of what you're going to do. Is that the outcome you're looking for? If it's not, then don't do it. And if you're going to do it, just be prepared for a very, very big rep, because it's going to cause some chaos. And chaos, hey, we all need some chaos now and then, I guess, to grow. I choose to avoid it, though. I like slow, steady growth. That's chaos.
It's impossible. I love them.
But it's a choice.
Love every second. Oh yeah, I choose, and I would choose. If I knew I'm gonna be so happy, I would have done it before. Talking about happiness is your little place on the world. Robin, why people need, should, and want to buy your book? I know that, and I told you. So all the people who hire me, now you understand what it says in my proposal. This is the books you need to buy. I can buy it from you. Audiobook, whatever that, and I swear on my 6 cats, your books are, I swear on my 6 cats, to make sure how serious is. Anytime that I do leadership and management and says we need to buy, maybe I need to buy it for you, not for Amazon, the bulk, they need to read, and it says, okay, if you cannot read all the book, at least read these chapters, because it shows so much about leadership through not talking about leadership, where to make it more approachable. But why need and should be reading the new book and following you?
Yeah, it's not all about me was the first quintessential cornerstone of everything, and it really is the bedrock to which start. It's great for rapport. It's great for just good conversation. It's a good daily reminder, and that's what I first did when I came up with the 10 techniques in the book. I literally had them a little sticky note. I put in my pocket before every meeting. I took them out. I took a look at it just as a little quick refresher before I picked up a phone, before I sent an email. I just said to myself, is this conversation about me or is it about them? Because if it's about me, they're going to be polite at best and probably ignore every word out of my mouth. So we got to make it about them.
Robin, what is your podcast where people can find you? Because Robin can make talk a rock. I says, I'm never going to talk about this. And as soon as I get to the podcast, I hear the podcast like, what the heck I was thinking? I wasn't supposed to talk about that.
Yeah, so the podcast. So I ran the podcast, the Forged by Trust podcast, for a couple of years, and I haven't done an episode in about a couple of years now. 77 episodes. There's one with you on it. It was fantastic. You took us on a journey, and that's what a great conversation is. It's a journey that the other person takes us on, and you took us on a great journey, Susan. But you can get all that off my website, robindreeke.com, ROBINDREEKE.com. Or Google me. There's so much content. I am way too overexposed. All my books are on Amazon or anywhere books are sold, Barnes and Noble. I don't care. But whatever you need, reach out. LinkedIn, I'm everywhere.
What is next? What is next for Robin? Because I know a lot of people in your field is like, okay, I leave the exciting. People approach to you for the excitement, but I don't know how many people really approach to learn. And that's where it concerns me. It says, you have a person who changed the history of the world. We are not Russians because people like Robin. I don't think people understand that fact, that we are not Russian, we are not Cuban, we are not all the things that we are against because people like Robin. So what is next for you? How you collaborate with people, where people can hire, what are you doing for people today?
Oh, yes. I mean, you can hire me. I do keynote speak still, and I'm selective with what I do, just because bandwidth. The common question I get is, so tell me about yourself, your background. The first thing I always say is I'm a father. I'm a dad. Everything I do in life is because I am all in on dad. My two kids are grown. My son is a
Your son just had the wings.
Yeah, he's a jet fighter pilot. He's a Marine Corps fighter pilot flying the F-35 Charlie. And my daughter is a labor and delivery nurse about to get married. And I talk to my kids routinely. I talk to my future son-in-law about his life choices and work, and my son and his girlfriend. I mean, everything I've ever done in my professional life gave me the skill sets and awareness to be the best father I can, because literally the legacy we leave in the world are the relationships and the people behind us. And if we can touch at least one or two lives about how to have healthy, strong relationships and solve problems in a good, healthy way, that's going to have the impact for generations to come. So that's the only legacy we really leave, is how to model the way for the next generation to have healthy, stronger relationships than we have now. So that's it. What's next for me? Whatever comes along. As we were talking before, I do a lot of true crime stuff on TV. I'm going on again multiple times. It exhausts me. It's okay. It's fine. I do whatever comes along if I like it. We'll see.
Well, with the new book, I want to reread the new, and when I reread it, let's bring you back so we can do a little more organized host. I am a horrible host. Why?
You were organized. I disorganized you because I give, so if anyone's into interviewing or understanding answers and question everything, and Susan is very well briefed, very well prepared, but I give what's called a narrative answer. I give very, very long, in-depth answers to things because I think way too much about absolutely everything, trying to take complex ideas and synthesize it down to one simple
But that is your magic. That is your superpower. Robin, I'm telling you, I steal all those things. I'm publicly saying, for any lawyer want to come, I need to copyright Robin. I steal all your ideas because the way you synthesize complex situations, I think people overcomplicate things. But I want to go with, and again, it's my turn to be the host. I should be more organized. But let's bring it back with your book.
Sounds
because
good.
Again, there needs, and one thing people forget about reading in books, again, I'm falling in love with learning, is depending on the stage of your life, you can read the same phrase and it's going to make another meaning. Again, The first book was 2017. The second was 2020. Without talking about that, it's not about you. About you is 10, 11. The second one is 2017, and the third one is 2020. No.
Yep. Yeah. So
freaking
2011,
memory.
2011, 2017, 2020, and then Unbreakable Alliances was 2024.
So that is more a fiction. It's not. It's a fiction book, or it's about behavior
No, same.
too?
So it was fictionalized stories, still the same kind of same style I wrote in on the other
I
ones.
haven't read that one. Sorry.
Oh, so far it's the least popular out of them all, which kind of strikes me because I tried to. So one of the things I tried to do in Unbreakable Alliances, one, it's focused on relationship building, using all the skills and techniques from all the other 3 books, as well as a lot of authors I learned a lot from. So one of the great things I love about a great book is you get other books to read from that book. And so I took that to the next level. I think I have 12 or 15 other books I quote multiple times throughout that book, some good key takeaways. And so hopefully that book is a master class in not just the skills and techniques I learned, but some of the other people as well. And also there's exercises at the end of that book, kind of like
Now I feel morally obligated.
It's
Obvious Adams. Have you read that book? It's from 1950.
No,
Obvious Adams from Jonathan Gutman. It's from Robert's Rolls Upgrade. It's 49 minutes. I give that book to everyone. Why? Because the most complex answers are obvious. This guy changed the life of advertisement and how we fix problems. And like, it's obvious. Don't you see it? Showing people that the answer is always been in front of them. That book changed my life. I'm gonna take a screenshot, and I can see you looking for a pen. I'm gonna send you a screenshot by cell phone.
I was thinking, so I can synthesize everything down that we just talked about today. If you just keep it, so every time you face a situation or challenge with anyone, ask yourself this one simple question, and it'll solve it. What are you going to do to inspire someone to feel safe with you? That's it. That's all people want to do. They just want to feel safe with you. And if they're reluctant to partner with you, reluctant to share information with you, reluctant to do anything, it's because for some reason, they don't feel safe making that choice with you. So it's on you to figure out, by focusing on them, those needs, wants, dreams, and aspirations, their priorities, challenges, and friction points in life, what you're going to do with your behavior and your communication to inspire them to feel safe with you. Because if they're not going to move forward with you. That's it. And so you then have to make that your own. You have to use and then here's the great thing too. You know what's even easier? Just be transparent. You can tell them, say, listen, I'm doing the best I can to allow you to feel safe with this choice with me. I think I'm falling short. Let me know if I am. Let me know if I'm not. And what can I do to make it up? Look at that. Oh my God, it's the easiest question in the world. But people fear asking that question because they fear being judged. They fear shoving people away, insecurities, all those things. But that's it. What can I do to inspire someone to feel safe with me?
Love it. When it's perfect, don't fuck it up. Robin, like I always says, and I always tell people, guys, if you were here in this conversation, I'm so happy. If you learned something, I'm so grateful. If it's not, this was for me. This is my selfish moment when publicly I can share with friends and people that know and I admire for an hour conversation that just used to happen to have a free ticket. So enjoy it. I have a surprise for next week. I don't know. It's not confirmed yet because, again, I bring in really the big pieces this year. So let's see if we confirm. If it's not, we're going to have another show. Robin, like always, it's been delightful. You have break my brain and give me something new to work on it, like always.
Thank you for the great time, great chats. I love great conversations. So thanks, Susan. You're always a fantastic one. That's why I love talking to you. Be back anytime.
I will take you on that. Bye.